In a mastermind recently, I met with a group of leaders, and one of the leaders was going through the challenge that he was working through in his business. And there was a point when all the leaders, the facilitator of the meeting asked all the leaders, saying, "Hey, has anybody else gone through this at some point of their business?" And all of us raised our hand. We were like, "Hey, I've been there. I've been where you are." And the leader was talking about they had had a slowing down of where their leads were coming from for their business, and then their sales process is kind of out of whack, and their ability to close on the leads was not as good, and then they were having trouble understanding whether or not they could even find somebody to come into their sales process and take over the sales program for them. And during the conversation, we talked to this guy, and it was like, "Hey, man, um, one of your goals as a leader of your company, as the owner of this company," and he's been in business for over 10 years, "should be to completely remove yourself from your sales process. I mean, you shouldn't be doing that anymore. As the owner, you should have a really good mechanism that's in place, that's working, that works with or without you, when you're not even there." And so as we talked through it, it's like, "Man, but is it even possible? And is there a way?" And my point that I wanted to share with you during this video is that when we're in the middle of the mess, when we are going through that situation and we don't have a high sales period, and we're kind of scared, we're fearful about what our environment is, and will our sales ever increase again in the future? Will our leads ever start booking calls again in the future? Will we ever have a good month again in the future? And when you're in that kind of mentality, you start kind of putting barriers up, and your mind starts blocking out the creative problem solving approach to being able to work through the issue. And that's why mastermind groups like the one I was attending are so vital, is because uh, other leaders can share perspective with you on that. First of all, they can kind of commiserate, like, "Hey, yeah, I've been there too." After that, they say, "Well, when I was in that situation, here's what I've done." Or maybe somebody says, "Yeah, hey, I'm in that situation right now too. How can we work through this together? This is what I found so far. What have you found?" And I think it's very, very important in business. And that's why I'm creating the mastermind that I'm working on creating for business leaders who want to grow their businesses and work through the intricate challenges of business. Day to day operations, month to month, year to year operations, there's always an issue that needs to be solved. There's always something that needs to be improved and worked on and fixed and mechanized inside your organization. And when you're in that mode of like, "I'm afraid and I'm not sure how the future's going to look, and currently it doesn't look so good, and I'm kind of boxed in," you eliminate your ability to creative problem solve. And what I've learned in business, being in business for more than 10 years, growing in business from zero to a multi-million-dollar company, and working with many other leaders, is that every single problem, every single one, can be creatively solved if you're willing to take a step back, get some insight and perspective, and then work through the challenge that you're dealing with very, very pure clarity on what the issues are. If you're in that situation, the answer is not to be sit there and be afraid. The answer is to get perspective, join a mastermind group, become part of a community of other people who are doing the same thing that you're doing, and then work through solving the problem creatively, because there is a very clear solution, a path forward, and a path to a better reality out there. But first of all, you have to understand and believe that that's true, and make sure you're getting the perspective into your business, into your situation, so that you can work through. And that's one of the things that I love doing, is working through with leaders, solving their problems in their businesses. So just a word out there for those of you who are maybe walking through a season like that, where it's like, "Oh man, I don't know, the leads aren't as good, they're kind of more expensive to get, they're not buying, and I'm a little afraid, and I don't know how the future is going to be." And connect, get on a call, get in front of somebody, put the details on the paper. There's always a creative solution to every single problem that we face in business. Every single time that I mean, when I say I've scaled the business from zero to multi-million dollars, it means I have been afraid a lot of times in that period. I have been in lack a lot of times during that period. I haven't had enough to hire a salesperson at various times during that period. I haven't had enough money to create this team that we needed desperately in this. So we had to put elbow grease into the work so that we could actually just create the next new reality. I mean, it's been work. It's been a lot of just working through all of these problems that some of them I was like, man, there's no way to solve that problem. But then through a little bit of time, reflection, getting some perspective, attending my mastermind group with great leaders, it's always been, there's always a solution. But you do have to take a step back, and you do have to have perspective and understand that it can be solved. Just something I wanted to share with somebody out there in the marketplace today. Business is not easy. I heard a speaker say, if it was speaking on leadership, and he said, if you're in this room and you think business is easy, you're probably not going to be here next year. And I think he's exactly right, because it's not easy, and if you get into it and you're not prepared for that, you might be very unpleasantly surprised. So one of the challenges, one of the blessings that we get for solving hard things is more hard things to solve and harder things to solve. And we get the wealth and blessings that go with the growing company and the profit, but we also get to solve the very, very complicated and difficult challenges. So chart the way ahead with creative problem solving.